This is your handy friend, Kelly. I am going to teach you today how to seal wood or anything really that you have either painted or stained. When you're dealing with furniture and stain, or even painting surfaces, you really should seal it and put on a protective coat of some type of sealant. There's all kinds of oil-based and water-based. I really prefer Minwax polyacrylic. It's a water-based. It's really easy to clean up, much more easily than an oil-based. I'll put a link in the bio for this polyacrylic. But so anyway, one thing about any type of sealant though, you do not want to put this on white cabinets or white paint. It will turn yellow. To not have a sealant turn yellow, you would want to use some type of clear wax. I don't know about Minwax furniture. Minwax is wax, but I love Annie Sloan's wax. But anyway, let's go back to the polyacrylic. I'll put a link in the bio for that too. So get a good quality foam brush. This is the best way to put on a sealant, especially if you're doing a tabletop and you don't want brush strokes. Splurge and spend a little bit more for the high quality foam brush. Don't buy the cheap ones. Anyway, so you're just going to get a little bit of sealant on your foam brush. The key to this is a little bit at a time because you're going to put multiple coats and it's going to build up. Okay? So this is how I do it. So I put a coat on already right here. So hopefully maybe you can see a little bit of color. This is a clear matte, so it's not going to be super shiny. I do prefer the shinier, but this is what I've got. So I'm going to put right here. And what I'm going to do is, hopefully you can see, I'm getting it wet. You can see it. I'm going to go all the way down and get that wet, okay? I'll put a little bit more and I'll move over a little bit. Hopefully you can see the wetness in the video compared to the dry two sides. So now I've put a thin layer of the sealant on there so it's wet. Now what I do is I start from one end. If you're going to do this on a tabletop, you're going to start from one end. You're going to put even pressure and go all the way down without picking up your foam brush. This is how I always got my tabletops when we made furniture, completely smooth, without any bubbles, brush strokes, or anything. It was just steady pressure all the way across the whole entire tabletop. Okay? And that is how it's done. And then you move on to your next section. I'll just do one more. So I'm getting it all wet. You can see the moisture. And then I just go down. So when you're doing this on a wood surface, like a tabletop that you've stained, you are then going to let it dry, which since it's a water base, it dries really quick. You're then going to sand it with a very high grit sandpaper, like 400 or plus, and you are just going to lightly sand it, wipe it off, wipe the dust particles off with a moist paper towel, and then put on a couple coats. When I do a tabletop, I usually do 4 to 5 coats. These cabinets, I'll probably just do 2 coats. Okay, so I'm going to seal everything that I just had recently painted in my house. The cabinets that are black, I will be sealing. The white, I'll have to decide what I'm going to do to that. I just wanted to also show you how I do the doors. So I took the doors off the cabinets and took the hardware off, so it'll just make it easier and I don't get it on the hardware. So again, I'm just taking a little bit, but I wanted to show you how I get in the creases and everything. I get quite enough. I'm gonna get this wet, the middle. And then for these crevices, it's just with the foam brush, it's really easy to get in here. And you're just getting it, wet, lightly wet. You don't want to get too much, for sure. So once I get it all in there, I just kind of lightly go back over it and soak up any of the bubbles or excess. Like in these cracks, I might get some. You just get in the cracks or the crevices, the corners, you might get excess and you're just gonna wipe it off. And then same with the outside. Wipe on, wipe off. And then you can do the edges. Always do your edges because that's where you grab it a lot of times, or I do at least, when it gets a lot of wear. Right here so you can see it. And I always just put it on something that it can stand upright so you can get the sides without any problem. So I just have it like on a canned food item. Okay, and that's it. One more tip I wanted to tell you is how to keep your brush from drying out in between your coats. It's as simple as a Ziploc bag. So you're just going to put your brush in the bag, get some of that air out, and seal it up. And it'll keep for, well, quite some time. I've left them for quite some time, for like weeks, and they still were moist, so, and didn't dry out. But maybe don't do that because it might grow mold or bacteria or something like that. But at least you can use it for a good week. Thanks.